Coming up in this episode of the KickCast, a sleep system that will help you be more productive, make your own wall pixel art, and a device that will make sure you get hot coffee anywhere you are. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody, it is time for another episode of the KickCast, the podcast where we go out, find you crowdfunding projects, and let you know if you should backtrack or sack them. I'm Ktdata, one half the show. Unfortunately, Drew got busy with the work life again, and he can't make it for this episode, but we got an amazing co-host to fill in for him. If you guys ever watched any of the earlier podcasts that I ever did, or any of our convention coverage, it is the one and only Dito. How are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, wait, who is this person? Oh, hey, what's up?
You're not Drew, you're Dito. At least I replaced Drew with somebody whose name starts with a D, right? Does that work?
It's all about the D. And also you gotta remember too, I'm the evil one because I have the mustache.
Yeah, you also have a mustache, so because the last time everybody saw you, I don't think you had a mustache, so we'll just go with that you are an evil Dito. So you can imagine the projects tonight will be evil.
Oh yeah,
or something like that.
Super or something. Yeah.
All right. So before we go on to our projects tonight, we have two bits of news, and ironically, they're related to Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Our first bit of news is that Kickstarter announced a hardware studio. So we all, a lot of the high project or high profile projects you see on Kickstarter are usually for a new device or something like that, and that is probably one of the most difficult things to do, especially if you're inventing something that didn't exist before from scratch. So what they did is they're introducing the hardware studio. They've partnered up with Dragon and Dragon Innovation and Avnet, two different companies that specialize in design and manufacturing and kind of the whole supply line to work with. So it's going to be a separate website where you can actually go, and if you have questions, you can post, you can interact with them, and get some feedback on the device that you're inventing. So it actually will make the crowdfunding project, help your crowdfunding project work better, or actually have a device, because a lot of times people just have that idea, but then making the nuts and bolts actually work is a little bit harder. So they have the first part, which is the studio toolkit. So it's a community site which has all different tools and tutorials and stuff to help put together your project. And then the second phase is the studio connection, which if you're working on like a harder, more advanced project, so say you're building a robot or something like that, to get more personalized feedback and stuff, you can actually talk with an actual engineer who's kind of gone through this process, and they can help give you tips and pointers. Or if you're running into a big problem, they could help you with that too. So that's kind of Kickstarter's new hardware solution type area. So that way you're not just kind of going by whatever you have before. They're actually working a little bit more on the education side of it. So what do you think? Is this hardware studio probably a good thing or a bad thing for Kickstarter to do?
It's a step. I can't tell you which direction it's going, just because Kickstarter should know what they're doing. I mean, they're pouring out like God knows how much money into these people for PR and everything itself. So obviously there's some market there itself. We've seen Kickstarter and both Kickstarter and Indiegogo over the last couple of years, even CES, taking these big leaps with helping out with the shipping, and because that's always been the biggest issue itself, and it's helped a lot of people. So maybe it'll help some, maybe it won't. And it's anyone's game right now itself. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're finally doing this, because Indiegogo over the years, we've kind of seen them actually take that step and be more proactive in these projects. And it seems like Kickstarter now is a little bit more involved, because they know that one of their biggest categories is that technology category where people are inventing watches, mice, earphones, and all that stuff. And a lot of people are like, well, I have this great idea, but they don't realize how difficult it is to actually make a piece of tech, because there's a lot of technology and engineering that needs to go into a device. And some people are like, crap, I have this idea, but what do I do in my next steps?
Yeah,
Um,
we saw it with Pebble. I
yeah.
mean, they took their first leap and they realized how difficult it was.
And then Pebble, they actually had already invented a watch prior to that too. So they actually had some of that. They just didn't expect the watch to blow up that fast. But
Oh boy, did it!
I haven't. You see those projects, and at least they had some kind of manufacturing background. And then Laser Norm asks a pretty good question. If it costs anything, I believe so. It hasn't launched yet. It's going to launch in September. And it sounds like that the first part, the Studio Toolkit, is kind of going to be a free community resource, meaning you just need to make an account and you go in and you can talk to people like that. But if you want the personalized service and feedback where you actually sit down with an engineer, have a phone conversation, Skype conversation, whatever, that may actually cost some money, but I'm not sure because they didn't mention details on pricing. Who knows? It could all be free, but I imagine that there might be some nominal fee. But hey, that might be cheaper than hiring your own engineer to solve like a whole problem. Help.
Just a little, for someone who works in the industry of labor and cost and everything itself. Yeah, you're better off probably taking their advice.
Yep. All right. So on to our second bit of news, which is this is an interesting one because when I first read this story, I thought it was actually going one way, but it's actually going the opposite direction of what I understood. So if you've seen on a lot of these crowdfunding projects, you're seeing a lot more projects being created in international markets and trying to market it to the U.S. Like in China, there are tons of incubators that you can apply for and your company can run through, and they'll help you set up your crowdfunding project and stuff and get through. But one of the drawbacks is you live in China, right? So, and you're trying to market to people in the US. So there's language barriers, there's cultural barriers, there's a lot of those kind of things. And especially early on when you started seeing a lot of these international projects come in, you'd read the project and you're like, well, I think this is a real thing, but it kind of sounds mechanical because they used Google Translate or something, or it just didn't seem right. Things weren't connecting because there weren't a lot of details in that. So what Indiegogo has done is they've selected 2 marketing agencies to be their preferred partners for Chinese-based launch projects. So what that means is there are these Chinese crowdfunders who want to bring their project on Indiegogo, and they want to market it to the U.S. market. So what they can do now is apply to work with Lamore Labs and Rain Factory. Both of those may sound familiar because this is their business, is to market crowdfunding projects. So they can work with that to build their presence in the U.S. And that could be anything from making a website, because like I remember some of the earlier stuff, I'm like, that looks cool, and then you try to Google it, you can't even find the name of the company. So, for some people that's a red flag. To writing copy, to designing visuals and stuff, because how many times have you been to like Alibaba or something, Dito, and you just see a picture that you knew somebody took on like a camera phone or something? And you're like,
don't get me on that. You've heard me rant about terrible photos for projects, and you even hear me rant about it for work.
Yeah, and so you're like, well, that looks a little sketch, and it could be a legitimate project. They just aren't good at doing this marketing kind of stuff. And I like this idea that they're kind of bringing a lot more international companies to bringing to the U.S., because a lot of the times what you would see prior to this would be U.S. companies trying to market outside, right, to internationally. And now that's kind of coming back in. So I like that mix of both, because it allows you to get different ideas from different parts around the world for different solutions. So I really like this, and I really hope that them working with having these 2 marketing companies, they'll learn more experience, and then we'll get those projects where you'll look at it and you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then you look where they are, and they're in China, and you can't tell the difference between a U.S. launched project and a Chinese launched product, because they both, have all the information you need, and they're just pretty good ideas. So how do you feel about Indiegogo kind of reaching that international market now and saying, hey, this crowdfunding thing, it's big, it's not going anywhere. We have this large audience in the U.S. that you could market to. And you can work with these guys over here so your project can compete with some of the guys here in the US, because marketing is huge now in crowdfunding. Is you got to have a plan. You got to be able to do that, because the heydays of if I build it on the network, they will come kind of thing is kind of long gone, where you actually have to have a marketing plan. Do you think this is a good idea to help those international markets kind of get on even ground?
I'm actually seeing this as a plus in more than just in marketing itself. We all know that China has been like the go-to for most of the campaigns in the early Indiegogo and the well, pretty much everything. You know,
if you're going to build something large scale, you're probably going to have to manufacture it in China.
Yeah, there's been a couple of the campaigns that we followed through there. So remember the Cat Ear headphones?
Yep.
There was another one where they went to China to try to find a factory that would build them because they were effectively cheap and they could still make the quotas in time that they've promised to their clients. But at the same time, too, because of their marketing and everything itself, they had to scrap it. So with this, I think it's going to be great because there are brilliant people in China too trying to do exactly what we're doing here. Because with the crowdfundings, it's a big inspiration. And now that we have that language barrier is going to be gone, and there is a company that's going to kind of be that middleman, I think it's going to work both ways, and it will only get better.
Yeah, and yeah, that's why I like it. That it's helping, and this is what I love about crowdfunding, is that you don't have to be a big company, you don't have to be super rich. You just have to have a good idea and be willing to put the work to implement it. And sometimes,
keyword, good idea.
and sometimes when these Asian companies, they have good ideas, but their marketing is just so bad where you're like, I don't kind of trust you to give me to give you that much money to make this, where it could be an amazing thing. And what's great about this, I looked at the portfolio for both of these companies. I'm familiar with Rain Factory because I've seen them a lot. Not as much with Lamore Labs, but when I looked at their past companies, so you remember Crazy Baby, right? They're the guys who make the floating speaker and stuff. They've actually worked with both of these companies, and they both of their crowdfunding projects that they had were super successful. So if that tells you about the track record of these two companies that Indiegogo picked, is they know what they're doing. And so if you're listening to this, because I know this, not everybody who listens to this show is in the US, say you're in Hong Kong or something, you may want to check out with some of these guys to help you build your marketing effort, and that actually may make a night and day difference between how well your project might go. All right, so that is all the news that we have. And then we actually have two quick kick shouts. Both of these we actually saw at CES. We'll see if you remember both of these, Dito. So the first one is the Ahead. And the Ahead is this Bluetooth device that you snap onto your helmet, and it connects to your smartphone, and it allows you to control everything or control most of the functions on your phone with this device on your helmet. It even turns your helmet into a smart speaker. So that way, when you're riding on a bike or something, you don't have to worry about taking your hands off the handlebars, because that's dangerous, right?
I remember this one. Yeah, this is the one where you had to stop me from almost taking it, because if I still rode a motorcycle, I would have definitely gotten it.
Yeah, it's because you've ridden on motorcycles before. Taking your hands off the handlebars to answer a text or something is not the brightest idea, right?
Just driving in general is not a good idea. But yes, it's really crucial, especially so. Like if anyone's listening to this, and if you ever ridden even a bicycle and trying to text on that, you're an idiot. Sorry. It's true. You're an idiot. Yeah. Please don't. Be safe.
Yep. All right. And then our other kick shout that we have, again, if you want to find Ahead, get on Kickstarter and type in Ahead, AHEAD, and you'll be able to find it. The reason why we like that idea is because you don't have to buy a brand new helmet. You stick it on your existing helmet, you're good to go. All right, the next one is called the Hapto, and this is for your VR fans out there. This is a motion controller, so you can do all your VR controls with this on your hand, but it also gives you physical feedback. So it feels, say you're holding up a rock, it'll actually push back on your hand, so it feels like you have a rock in your hand, versus now where you might just be holding the controller and not getting that physical haptic feedback on it. That one's a pretty cool one too. If you guys want to check that out, they're on Indiegogo, and you search for Hapto, Hapto. And those are our kick shouts. So now, finally, it's time for our projects. And this one's a cool one. So, Dito, I know your sleep schedule is a mess, right?
Oh God, tell me about it.
I
It's
think,
just gonna get worse.
yeah, I think that's something that both you and I have in common. Let's just say there have been times where Dito or I have messaged each other at like 3 a.m. and we've responded within 5 minutes because both of us are awake for some awful reason.
And it's always, what are you doing up?
Yeah, I was expecting you to answer tomorrow.
Yes, I had this weird idea just pop in my head for something itself. I'll just put it down now. So, then you put your phone down or be on the computer itself and just wait, come back. And all of a sudden there's a response.
Yeah, you're like,
what?
ding, like what? So this is something you and I actually may need. So this is called the Circadia, and it is a system to resync your system, your body to closer to what a normal circadian rhythm is. So, Dito, how much do you know about a circadian rhythm?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, so the human body has been engineered to sleep and function by if there's sunlight out or not. That's just we've been engineered to do that. The problem that what happens now is we have all these screens up, or we're working night, the graveyard shifts. All these things start shifting off what our natural circadian rhythm should be. So what happens is when you're off your circadian rhythm, it could be in the middle of the day, and you're already feeling tired because it's not what your body's used to. So with the Circadia system, there's two parts to it. There's one, a sleep monitoring sleep tracker, which you put next to your bed. You don't have to wear this. This is why I love it. Is you don't have to wear it. You put it on next to your bed, and I think it's like, what is it, 3 feet, 8 feet away. So up to 8 feet away. And what it will do as you sleep is it will start taking notes, because it can detect if you're in deep sleep, in light sleep, if you're tossing or turning, or you woke up. It tracks, if there's any loud noises around you, or how you're breathing, your heart rate, and the temperature around. And it will use that data to create what your circadian rhythm looks like right now. And then from that data, it actually works with a phone app that will say, okay, these are some of the adjustments that we can try to make work, so your circadian rhythm is back to more of a natural rate. What's cool about this is because that's only one half of it. The other half is a therapy lamp. So it's this pocket-sized, hand-sized light device that you can actually you take with you. And what it is, it's kind of like those lights you've seen that do, that changes the color temperature. So you have your daylight and your like nighttime and stuff. Because how everybody's like, you shouldn't be using your computer before you go to bed because it has that blue light that's kind of like sunlight, right? So what this does,
shouldn't.
Yeah, it shouldn't. So what this does is actually it does that, and you can take it with you. They've made it portable, so you can take it with you, and it will cycle those lights and give you kind of that light therapy you may need to adjust your body clock to what you want. But what's cool about this is, say, you're running on a deadline, and you're like, well, I just need to stay up tonight to get it done. They have what they call a coffee or visual caffeine, which it will change it to a light that will keep you awake. And it's I think it's equivalent to a cup of coffee that will keep you up for 6 hours. And they'll use that to help you stay awake. So if you're trying to do like a night, what did I call it? Insomnia mode. There's an insomnia mode, which keeps you awake during the night. There's also this alertness boost, and I really need this alertness boost because that right after lunch, right? you always feel sleepy.
Well, considering the fact alone that my job got me lucky 13 today, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you're all full. So you could use this alertness boost where it changes the light to help keep you awake without having to drink like a cup of coffee that will keep you awake for 6 hours or so when you need that boost.
And you won't get that crash either.
Yeah. So I really like this idea, and I love the system of it doing both active monitoring and kind of responding to that with the app and the light, because you've seen a lot of these other ones that are like, if you just got the light alone, that requires you to say, all right, an hour before I'm gonna shift the color light to kind of a more sunset type thing, so my body's ready to go to sleep, right?
I think you're saying. I think it's spend more time like this and with the dial. Like that's not quite sunlight,
yeah.
or that's not quite. Aw,
yeah.
There it is. Oh crap! It's all messed up.
Yeah, but then and then you're like, is this really working? Because how are you supposed to detect how you sleep? And the one thing that I hate about this, a lot of the sleep trackers, like the Fitbits and stuff, you have to wear it. And I am notoriously bad at like having things around my wrist or whatever, where I'm sleeping, I'll rip them off because it bugs me. And then there's the other one that people who like have the Apple Watches and some of those higher end smartwatches that like drain their batteries that you got to charge every day. Well, that's a problem because most people tend to charge those watches when they go to bed, right? So
I know I do.
Means you're not wearing it. So how's it going to detect your sleep? And even if you are wearing it, what happens when the battery dies in the middle of the night? So that's why I like the contactless sleep tracker, because it allows you to just be like, okay, you're in the area and I can tell you you're there. So that's why I love this. And because I remember the first thing I did when I graduated from college is like, I need to get a regular sleep cycle. I can't do these crazy 2-3 day benders with like 4 hours of sleep. It's just not it's not healthy.
And here we are now.
Hey, it's only 10:15. So it's still early, right? Yeah.
It's only 10:15.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So how do you feel about this kind of sleep system? It's not just one device, but it's almost a connection of a couple of devices that do active monitoring and helps respond to it.
All right, so I'm gonna take two approaches on this. So first off, I like the fact that it monitors and it adapts to your sleeping schedule. So like we talked about the whole how you have to set lights and everything. I feel that could be more of a placebo effect. You think you're getting good and everything itself, but then it's not actually catering to your schedule. So with this, I feel it's going to be better for someone who does have our terrible sleeping schedules, and I really do feel it's going to help out, opposed to like we've seen at CES a few of those lamp systems where you have to adjust everything.
Yeah, it's still that one side, so you're like, I don't know if this is really helping me or not.
Yeah, and then you have the whole contact thing too. Having to wear a device either under your sheets or having to wear a watch of some sort. Or that look like a patch or something. It's like me too. If something on me I'm not feeling comfortable with, I'll rip it off too. So I've done that with my Pebble because I don't like wearing like watches either at night. And if I have to wear something on my wrist at night, I feel like I'm going to rip it off and destroy it, which actually did happen. So I'm down one wristband, by the way. So yeah. I think it's a great idea, but yes, there's still some. I still think there's going to be some more work for it.
Mm-hmm. So, is this a back track or sack for you?
Definitely track. Track.
Yeah, this one's a back for me because I like the whole idea. I also like how the light is portable, because that's always the problem with some of the other stuff is you got to leave it plugged in, and so I'm not going to spend every day unplugging this light, lugging it with me to work, and then plugging it back in at work.
I feel like there's a bad joke going to happen at work too. So you put it on like a sleep mode and start like affecting your coworkers or something, or you have that one you just put like coffee mode and then they're like jitter as hell. So I see Abita also a very fun work tool too.
Yeah, that's why I like it, because it's battery powered. So if I need to move it, I'll just move it. Don't have to worry about wires or anything. All right. So on to our second project. Dito, did you play a lot of Minecraft?
Did I?
When it first came out, you play the adult Minecraft. With that, but you've seen on the internet, pixel art is huge now, right?
Yeah.
It is definitely one of those things that everybody is kind of getting onto. I've seen pixel art use. Have you seen the sticky note pixel art? Where people have done things with sticky notes. So that looks cool and all, except when the sticky notes stop sticking, or gust of wind comes by and they all fly off.
Or that one coworker rips everything off.
Yeah, or that one coworker. By the way, one of my buddies had his entire Forerunner sticky noted before. I'll have to tell you that. I'll have to tell you that story one time.
Was it me?
But so our next project is called Peelcraft, and what it is for those of you guys who have blank walls. I don't have blank walls. I wish I had blank walls so I could put more art up.
Or 8-bit nerd.
Yeah, or 8-bit nerds. These are little kind of like 8-bit pieces that you can put together onto your wall and make your own 8-bit art. That's on the side of your wall somewhere. So you can make these giant murals if you live in one of these. I don't know anybody who lives in a studio apartment that looks like this, but yeah, they gotta exist
Very
somewhere.
single.
They gotta exist somewhere, right?
They have to have this up.
Yeah. So are these reapplicable, or are they one of those one and done pieces, Dito?
So according to what they have been telling you, that there are two ways of getting it taken care of. So they have the ones where you can they're readhesived, but at the same time too, it doesn't necessarily say like if you had like some dust or something gets on it too, and you can wash that off. But there's also another one that's more for industrial use too. So it's more like ones you could peel off, and the ones that are supposed to adhere for almost permanent status. So it's nice to see that they have taken into account to people who want to decorate walls on a maybe like weekly basis versus ones that want to set something up for their office on a permanent basis.
Yeah, like I like this glass window one, like because you see stores always kind of put up their sales and stuff. This seems like that, having the ones that you can take off would be great, so they can change it to whatever they're having on sale that next week, right?
Yes, and that's one of the greatest things. This is the reason why it appealed to me, because I'm an old school nerd. Grew up with Atari, Nintendo, all this fun stuff too. So with pixel art becoming it's been maybe a year or two now since pixel art started to take hold. It's like is graffiti art.
Yeah.
So that's what this is essentially. You can do. You can have it outside now. And not to say to graffiti art everything itself, but you could pixel art it too.
We don't condone vandalism.
Ktdata.net does not condone vandalism in any way, shape, or form. But on the other note, this is super cool.
Yeah. And then one of the things that we forgot to mention is these blocks. They're not just like squares. They have different textures that you can have on them. So you can have like this pyramid shape or the flat shape. And you can mix and match them so you can create textures along with the tiles, right? So like I'm looking at these. Yeah, some of these look pretty cool. And what's even cooler is you can design these like using a phone app.
So they have software for this. They have their pre-programmed templates, and then there is the ones where you can create yourself. So what they have set up was that you can use a template and then go from there as a base. So I think they said it was somewhere around like 30 templates or something, if I remember correctly. And they have everything from like Mario, Galaga, Space Invaders to Pac-Man. And I think I even saw a pixel art of like character completely froze on my face.
Yeah,
but
there's a Madonna one that's on here that you can see right now.
Yeah. There's Madonna. Yeah, that one. There's a Madonna one, but
not Madonna.
Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn. Sorry,
this is
they have one of Harley Quinn.
This is Marilyn Monroe. Somebody's gonna be like, KT, you don't know your celebrities.
I don't. I'm not even saying I do. I just agreed with him.
Yeah. Is this a backtrack or sack for you? I mean, I love this. I liked just having the squares, but I love having the textures of the different squares too. That just add a little bit more depth to them.
So if I had more wall space, definitely back. So I'm gonna say with that.
Yeah.
I don't have wall space, but I'll still back it.
Because how much are these? Are these pretty pricey?
From what I'm seeing here itself, I don't know how much it's converted to itself, but it doesn't look all that expensive.
So yeah, I'm looking at it for 100 pieces. It's about $60. It's 460 Hong Kong dollars, which converts to about $60 here.
Okay, yeah.
Which I don't think is too bad. I mean, you buy a paint. I've bought prints that cost more than $60.
You see my mural of Street Fighter? That cost me like what? That cost me $60 right there for 6 pieces.
Why didn't we think of this? Pen pushers, like, there's always ceiling space. Have you put stuff on your ceiling yet? Now you're thinking about it.
Well, where do you think I hang most of my Gundams from?
I was gonna say, okay, fine. I won't tell people about your Justin Bieber poster that you have posted up there above your bed. Oh, did I just say that out loud? My bad.
I'm more scared of the fact alone that it would even be there.
And all right, so that is the peel craft. So for our last project of the night, this one was voted by you, and I have a feeling Cousin Jane may have influenced the vote for this. And Dito, I don't think you drink a lot of coffee, right?
More occasionally. I'd say I'm more of a light drinker now.
Okay, so yeah, I live off the stuff.
I know you do.
So one of the problems is especially when you travel is like if you're a coffee connoisseur, when you travel, sometimes getting good coffee is hard. Especially if you're going to like a diner or something and they leave a pot of coffee sitting there all day, so one of the solutions is, especially now that you have those little pod machines, right, that you can just put in a capsule and it'll make your stuff. Those are a little bit nicer, except you don't want to carry a giant machine around, right? Because that still doesn't work. So our last project... Well, you can, but I'm not going to.
Yes.
Our last project of the night is called the X-Profix. So get it? It's almost espresso, but it's not X-Profix. And it is a portable espresso machine that not only will use one of the pod things that you have, it will also boil the water if you don't have hot water with you. So you can actually make a hot cup or a hot shot of espresso on the go with cold water. So what it does is it's this little machine. The capsule it uses doesn't use the Keurig ones, which most people think, but they do use the I never can say this company's right. The Nespresso capsules, which are very similar, and they actually have pretty decent coffee. I used to work at a place that had these pods instead of the Keurig ones, and they're actually pretty good. The part that I really liked about it is that you can fills about 50 milliliters of water, and then you start it. If it's cold water, it will heat it up for you, and that takes a couple minutes. And then from there, you can actually do your pour from there. And they've designed it so it's portable. So say you're going through the TSA and traveling with it, you can actually take out the lithium battery because you know how paranoid everybody is about exploding phones now. So
thank you, Samsung.
So they you can take that out and you just take it with you. I really like this, especially if you're like camping or something. There's an integrated cup that is in there, so if you don't even have to carry a separate cup. Which I like this idea. And I know Pen Pusher is like, he's not really a fan of pods, but hey, if you're traveling and you're in a fix, I think this is actually a pretty good solution because you don't have to worry about water and stuff. And people are like, well, what happens if the water starts boiling and stuff? So one of the tricks that most people don't know is you shouldn't use boiling water when you're making coffee. You should be using water that's about like right below boiling. So it actually heats up the water to about 90 degrees, and that's about the temperature you want it. Because if you do boiling water, what happens is it starts to scald the beans, and you get a more acidic taste out of the beans.
Which is funny to say too, because like Europe and everything makes fun of a lot of American coffee.
Yeah, it's because European coffee is night and day different than what you get here.
Because we boil our water. You know, we always have way hotter water than we should normally have to brew and to steam and all that stuff, because we just want scalding water on everything.
Yeah. So I really like this. And like I know that you don't drink a lot of coffee. Say you're addicted to it, and you knew you're going to be traveling a lot, so you don't know what the coffee situation is going to be every day. Would this be something that you would want to take with you?
KT, you knew me when I had my store, right? That's when I was addicted to coffee. I'd be sitting there with the pot, brewing every like 10 minutes. But yeah, this is for your coffee connoisseur, and I will agree with you. You know, it's a must. It's a must have for that coffee connoisseur that just needs that fix. Especially for like when we go convention hopping itself, we don't want to sit in that 30-person line for like an hour just to get just a cup of Java.
Yeah, to pay $5 for a cup of coffee.
$5, dude. Remember, it's like 10.
Yeah, so I really like this. I know D-Max is like $300 is a little much.
But that's actually a steal considering the fact alone no convenience.
I don't think it's $300. It looks like, because that's Australian dollars. So once you convert that, it's about $170, which doesn't seem too bad if you consider that. I haven't checked recently, but I think a lot of those pod machines themselves cost around there or higher.
Higher.
So
like I think like a general use one you can get probably at like Walmart is still gonna run you about like almost $200 or so.
So this I like this. This is portable. The only drawback I see with this is the battery life, and which makes sense because on a full charge, if you're using cold water, you're only going to be getting 3 cups of coffee out of it, because it has to heat up the water, right? But if you use hot water, if you pour hot water into it and then you use it to do the injection, you can get up to 100 cups of coffee. So if you bring your own hot water, it lasts longer.
I was gonna say, like, that is a huge leap. Yeah, 3 cups to 100 cups.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because it doesn't have to heat up the water.
What about room temperature? Did they say anything about like having like a bottled water room temperature?
That's still probably going to be closer to the cold water. So you may be able to get 4 cups out of it. And it does take about 8.5 to 10.5 minutes to heat the water, and you only can do 1 cup at a time because it only can hold 50 milliliters of water. So you're only going to get 1 shot at a time. This is definitely for the a single coffee drinker and not a group thing, because you'd be there for an hour just to make everybody cups of coffee.
It better have like an AC charge unit or something to do that. But yeah, you're better off with just...
Or you can take Pen Pusher's idea and just carry 5 extra lithium batteries charged.
Well, we could talk to the belt guy, the lithium battery belt guy. There we go.
Yeah. So yeah, I love this idea, and it might just be because I'm addicted to coffee, but I like it. I like how portable it is, and like you can see this little like leather carrying case, so you can carry all of that and then a couple of pods for you. And if it only does three charges, that's more than enough, right?
Oh yeah, I mean I think that's great for just that coffee connoisseur that just wanted to get a fix. If they really want a cup of coffee, they're going to get a cup of coffee. Yeah. I mean, if you live in the metropolitan area, anyways, there's a coffee place on every other corner. At least a Starbucks in every other corner.
If you go into Seattle, they just inject you through via IV.
Was it Seattle or was it New York that has a Starbucks across from a Starbucks?
It's probably Seattle, hometown of Starbucks.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. But yeah, Pen Pusher is he's like having a 2 shot option. Probably is, that might be ideal for a lot of people, because I know, let's just say I don't technically drink coffee. More like I tend to drink 2 shots of espresso, and it looks like I'm drinking 1 cup of coffee.
Just shoot it straight into your veins, man. Just get it over with. Just have your IV setting up there, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Pen Pusher says New York has tons of coffee. It has the coffee next to the coffee on top of the coffee next to the coffee too.
There we go.
You can view a Starbucks from the window of another Starbucks here. I love it.
That is your ideal situation. That is the hipsters beyond hipsters' dream.
No, it's just a big city and everybody needs their coffee.
I think it's just funny because it's like, so you probably remember that I told you about this. There's a Winco opening, like literally like kitty corner off of the main street from me. Mm-hmm. And there's that drive-through Starbucks. They're going to put a Starbucks in that Winco.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the Walmart near me. There's a McDonald's right next to the Walmart, and then inside the Walmart, there's another McDonald's.
Yeah, there's the Mexi Mart over here has a McDonald's in it too.
Yeah. All right, so it is time for our Sec of the Week.
Finally.
This is a good one for many reasons. So Dito, you have 2 TVs in your house, right?
At least.
So let me ask you: Have you ever walked by and looked at at one of your 2 TVs and said, "Man, that black border around these flat screens looks really boring. I want to add some pizzazz to it."
Always, KT. Always.
Well, then our sack of the week is for you. It is TV wraps, vinyl wraps that customize the border of your TV. It's like a decorative cell phone case for your TV. It's actually the same material cars are wrapped in, leaves no marks on TV.
But wait, there is more.
So you're like, okay, KT, I don't see the need of it. My problem with this is I go to CES a lot, and each year I go to CES, those bezels get smaller and smaller. And most people, I mean, most people have maybe a 42-inch to a 50 or maybe 60-inch TV, right?
I would put an average, like the average consumer is probably going to have at least a 45, 46 inch.
Yeah. So that means you got this like giant square thing, and you have car wraps and stuff. That material doesn't like stand up by itself, right? You can't just.
Oh no.
So I can imagine applying this. Try imagine like, because you got to get a perfect rectangle, right? Because the TV is that shape. Like, how's that gonna work?
I honestly don't see them. So for the average person, I've done car wraps. I detailed my own car many times. KT knows this, and he's seen me do it a few times and sees how tough it can get if you don't have it secured on there and have it all set up beforehand. And that's on a car hood.
Yeah, and you weren't even trying to like put a square down. You had some leeway, right?
And so think of this on a vertical surface that only has maybe like a couple inches square, trying to fit that on there and then apply it without air bubbles.
Yeah, because if you miss, you're covering your screen.
Yeah, and for most of the TVs now that have the border still, there is about a 2 to 3 centimeters.
Yeah, it's not even a full inch. It's barely an inch.
Yeah, it's like you barely have anything. So if you miss one spot, so say you go corner to corner like this, and then you get it on there yourself, and then you just go down because logic dictates if you have it on the corners, you'll get it to the corner to corner. It doesn't work like that. It's very precise work that you have to do. So the average consumer, I can see messing this up, and your tiger stripe borderline is going to look like crooked, and it's going to throw people off who have OCD.
Yeah, I mean, like you look prototype one, installation takes too long to get good fit. Adjustments hard to make once stuck, hard to see while installing, hard for me, and I know how to do this. Unsuccessful. And you look at this doesn't look that great. Right?
And do we mention you have one shot?
Yeah, like this doesn't look that great. And everybody in the chat room is like, I don't want to see the bezel. Like this seems to be counterintuitive on what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, like our TVs right now, give it what? Okay, on the hindsight itself, give it 3 years. There won't be any more bezels at the cheap TVs you can get at like Walmart. They're going to be, if there is a bezel, it's going to be like minuscule. It's going to be pretty much almost edge to edge. We're seeing edge technology already.
I mean, yeah, at CES 2 years in a row now, we've seen those TVs that are super thin that you could hang. They claim that you can hang using picture hanging hardware, where there's almost nothing there. So like they say they have a market, but I just don't see it. And then there's also the other aspect that I don't think he's thought about is that a lot of these TVs, they generate a lot of heat. Do you really want to put a plastic cover over that so it retains that heat, so your TV could potentially overheat?
Yeah, it's vinyl, guys. It's, it is plastic, rubber plastic. It's not the best of ideas, especially if your TV is running hot.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, if your TV is running that hot.
Yeah, and it could, because that's why when you get some of these new devices, you should take off the plastic wrap on them, because you may be causing more thermal damage to them um, than you think you are. And plus, does anybody really want like a camo bordered TV?
We know KT secretly does.
No, no. So that is our sack of the week, because this is what kills me, because it does say risks and challenges. Okay, I know TV screen borders are getting smaller. That decreases the general target market for most TV wrap designs, especially ones with graphic designs and words. The two reasons I still put time and effort into this is because I think I have identified a business target market. Um, in addition, even with ultra slim frames, even people with ultra slim frames may want a reflective gold or chrome border.
No, they don't. What are you, a thug?
That's why they got the TV with the ultra slim frames. So I don't have to see it. And like, it bugs me that, okay, you have a target market, but you don't tell me what that target market is.
Yeah, where are they? At least get a demographic of where they are. I have a better idea, KT. Let's get that peel craft and put it on those TVs. I think that would be a better idea.
I'd like that more. So you can have a little Mario scene covering your TV.
I mean, it's like, from what it's like. All right, let's look at this in a different light. Okay, let's put some positive light on this border, this vinyl border stuff. You can set it up to where, say, like in a hospital for children's itself, they'll have those old TVs out there. I'll put like kid designs on itself, so it's a little bit more friendly itself, because kids are going to be watching the TV all the time. You have your old grandma that has it too. You could put on like, I don't know, tiger stripes, something cat related, dog related.
No, I don't want a leopard print TV. No leopard print TV.
No, but just hear me out here. So I can see it for the target market itself, as minuscule as it may be. I can see it being there itself, but still doesn't make it a good idea.
And so I haven't mentioned the prices. Have you seen the prices? So
I missed that.
If you have a 32-inch or smaller TV, it's $100 for the pledge.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
And this is only in gold. Apparently, you only can get the gold wrap first. And I'm a little worried.
Real gold?
Because the estimated delivery is August 2017. But you read through all of this, they haven't even found the right material they want to use for the wrap. I'm very, very worried about that.
Sold.
So yeah, that is why this is the sack. I mean, like, good on you for actually putting a, like, project wise, mechanically, they put together the project pretty well. The idea, I think, is just a little too late in terms of that.
This kind of reminds me of what I was talking about with my friends about MMOs. They execute it very, very well, target to a great audience itself, but then they fall flat with the content. So I kind of see this like the same thing happening itself. It's a solid idea. They just don't have enough information to convince anyone, at least us.
Yeah, on there. And that is the end of the show. So Dito, thank you, my friend, for stepping in last minute. And I know it's big shoes to fill for when Drew's not here. So thank you so much for.
It's because he's taller than me.
Is he? I thought he was shorter than you. I can't remember now.
I can't remember either. How tall is Drew?
We're gonna have to measure you guys next time we see you.
It's true. It's like last time I saw Drew was like last at CES. I think this last time I actually saw Drew.
No, it was Christmas.
Christmas party. That's right.
Yeah. So
and I didn't even sit next to him.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to measure you next time. But no, thank you so much, my friend. You got anything you want to plug before we go?
Not this time itself. I'm just doing my own thing now.
Yep. So yeah, if you do want to see Dito, go watch an old episode of the Ktdata Anime podcast where we can't pronounce anything in any of these episodes. How far we've gone, right?
And how much we've almost stayed in the same spot.
Yep. And or if our convention coverage, most of the time Dito's there, and I'm not ever gonna change that, because when I'm like, we're going to the convention, Dito's on first on the list to be going with me. So thank you
for GameCon.
Yeah, and Origins. but you'll be back.
Yes.
You're always around the network. So thank you so much, my friends. And thank you, everybody, for watching at home. If you guys have suggestions for Sacks of the Weeks, projects, or if you just have a Twitch kick shout. Wow, I can't. It's getting late. I need that.
See?
I need that Sarcadian and rhythm thing. A kick shout. Just shoot us an email, kickcast@ktdata.net, and we'll get that taken care of. Or you can tweet us at KickCast for the show, at KTData for myself, at Night20 for Drew, and at Ahoy Baby for Dito. Dito may respond.
I generally do. Yeah, if I see someone tag me in something and stuff, I generally respond.
Yeah. So until next time, my friends, Drew should be back. I think maybe. Yep, he should be back, and we'll finally have a normal show. It's been like 2 months since we've had a normal show, because we'll be done traveling. We'll all be in the same place, and that our next episode is going to be June 20th, 2017, and you can always watch that live at twitch.tv/KTData. So we will see all of you guys in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
2 weeks.